Hi, welcome to the very first Gallagher Shots FPL show, hosted by me, Matt, or also known as Leafy Dragon _FPL, if you're a Twitter person. So, gonna get started. If you missed my original video, I'm gonna be the guy who sorts out Gallagher Shots' fantasy football league. I do it all the time. I do FPL lots and lots. Loved it. Absolutely loved it for years. So yeah, I am. I'm not going to say expert because that would be the wrong word, but I am your go-to guy for Newcastle United and fantasy football for Gallagher Shots this season. So, going to make a start. I am going to try and sell you guys some Newcastle United players for your team. I'm going to give you a little bit of a segue into West Ham and how I think we're going to do, how we're going to maybe set up as a team and how that might help certain players get FPL points. I've got one question I know that I want to try and answer because it's kind of topical with potentially a new signing on the way. So yeah, let's make a start. Now, first player that I'm going to throw your way is Freddie Woodman. Now, there's a bit of a caveat to this because Freddie Woodman is nowhere near going to be nailed. He's not going to start every game this season. So you are potentially going to have to transfer the guy out at some point. But for 4.5 million in a half decent team, 4.5 million is pretty good going for a decent goalkeeper. So good bargain. Definitely going to keep the odd clean sheet. We've got a good bunch of fixtures coming. So yeah, you would do worse than to get Freddie Woodman in your team. Second of all, you've got Jacob Murphy. Now, Jacob Murphy is somebody that I've been banging on about all pre-season on my Twitter account. He's had an absolutely storming pre-season. He's developed into the wing-back role really well. I think he's going to get forward a lot more. And I do think he's going to get attacking returns, which obviously, if you want a midfielder or a striker in Fantasy Premier League, you're going to want them to score points. Looking like they're going to score points, looking like they're going to get goals or assists, doesn't really translate to anything. Those people who owned Tariq Lamptey last season in FPL will know all about that. He looks like a brilliant player. He's brilliant attacking-wise, but ultimately he didn't really do much. Same with Ayling last year for Leeds. So those players you kind of want to avoid because although they're kind of deceiving, because although they look really good, ultimately they don't get the actual returns to back it up. So yeah, I would stick with Murphy as a bit of a trial and see. It's because he's 5 million, guys, so I don't really know what you'd expect for 5 million. The only issue that I have with him is that he is 5 million and you could easily drop him down to another 4.5 midfielder and upgrade somewhere else in your team. So, for example, Brownhill from Burnley is 4.5 and he'll play and you can just sit on your bench. Whereas Murphy at 5 million, you've got to start him potentially to get the rewards from him. So, moving on to, I'm going to go to Wilson next. Now, Wilson, I talked him up loads on my last video. I'm not going to go into too much detail other than he's got 8 goals in 10 games against West Ham. He loves playing them. It's the most goals he's got against any team. He is going to be the focal point for the team this year. You would be daft not to put him in your team. I haven't, not yet anyway, but that's because I've only got the 2 forwards and I'm sticking with Danny Ings, who's got 3 very good fixtures, and Ivan Toney, who we kind of all know about, but I've got him in because he's cheap and I want a bit of a strong midfield. So, moving on to my next and final pick, and I'm hoping I don't jinx anything because at time of recording, he's not signed yet, but Joe Willock would be a brilliant asset to have in FPL. There's arguments whether his run that he had when he joined us is sustainable. If you look at his points scored from last season, it was just 6. He's just scored countless number of 6 points from goals from midfield, coming off the bench. Wasn't many clean sheet points for him, mind. But yeah, if he can continue that form for us, then we're going to be onto a winner, a real winner. And fingers crossed that I'm not jinxing anything here. I hope that he's going to be good enough to justify the 25 million that we're going to pay for him, because it's a lot of pressure this time round. He came here with something to prove last time with no real fee. So now that he's got 25 million on his back and he's playing in front of fans, it's going to be a bit of a different scenario for him. But yeah, in terms of FPL points for 6 million, I don't think you can go wrong because he's borderline talismanic for us. So, they're my picks, guys. Whether they're worth the risk or not is totally up to you. We're quite lucky as Newcastle fans because they're not going to be highly owned players because we're not that popular of a team in terms of thinking that from outside looking in, we don't look like an attractive team to own players from. We don't think you're going to get the regular points, but there's nobody in our team apart from Hafihim and Keo who's over 10% owned. So that means that any points that you get from these players, if you pick a Newcastle player, it's going to really, really improve your rank each week and hopefully send you to the top of our mini league. How's that for a segue? So yeah, speaking of the mini league, Gallagher Shots has set up another mini league this year. Now it's just, hang on, let's get just here above my head. It's DO0, no, not DO, can't read, DX0003. So if you type that in onto the Fantasy Premier League website, under the leagues heading, you'll end up being directed to our league, which has, at time of recording again, is about 200 members, which is good going. But I know compared to how many subscribers this channel has, it's not nearly enough. And I think we can get loads more. So like, tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your dog, get some teams in and we'll have a good laugh. Now, every week, I'm going to be in charge of kind of giving you guys an update on that league, telling you who's winning. Hopefully, it'll be me every week so I can just sit here and gloat. But I'll be telling you who's first, second, third. I'll be trying to scout out some potentially good captaincy picks. Anybody who's captained a Newcastle player is going to get an automatic shout out because, hey, if you live life on the edge, you deserve some form of reward. So, yeah, give me a shout on Twitter if you captain a Newcastle United player, and I'll try and give you a retweet and give you some shout outs on here. Now, in terms of winning the league at the end of the season, if I win, I think I'm getting about 20 grand. But everybody else, he might get something else off Chris. I'll ask him. But no, I'm only joking about the 20 grand. But I'll make sure there's a prize for the winner. Make it a bit competitive. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Now, like I say, I will own at least one Newcastle United player in my Fantasy Premier League team. But I would probably say that's enough. So it's either going to be Wilson, got to be Murphy, because he's very cheap, Willock, or Woodman, because you don't want to stick too many. We're too unreliable as a team, and you want constant points each week. For me, I try and aim for 60 points every week, depending on whether you've got a blank game week or a double game week in there too. So best of luck, guys. Oh yes, questions. So Andy Burnham, thank you for giving me my question. He asked me, do you think Willock makes Wilson a better or worse FPL pick? Now, for me, Willock makes everyone in our team a better FPL pick because the rise that everyone's going to get out of that signing is going to be massive, especially if you're the likes of St. Maximin or Wilson, because I know St. Maximin's been very coy and a bit just very coy and a bit weird on his Instagram, and it made me worry that he was going to try and leave. And I wonder whether that was because we weren't really doing anything in the transfer market. So, fingers crossed, this signing, and hopefully a couple more because we need them, makes them want to stick around and motivates them a little bit more. So yeah, Andy, honestly, I think Willock's going to improve our team. I had no Newcastle players in my Fantasy Premier League team because I was that low about us. But now I'm sitting here with Willock and potentially Callum Wilson going in as well. So, yeah, guys, if you've got anything to ask me every week, please send in a message. I'm going to try and do regular videos. Please like the channel, like the video. Shameless plug there. So, yeah, hope you've enjoyed it and cheerio.